Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Monday assessment by the View from the Medway. With no game this weekend, we're doing a 15-game review, just to have a quick look over the season so far. I'm back hosting this week after a weekend off, week off last week, so you can expect plenty of me talking bollocks and jumping on bandwagons. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce co-host Matt, Warren, and Tom Jasper. How are we, gents?
Thank you.
All right. How has your day been?
Enough said.
We just jumped straight into it then, boys. We'll start with the Views news from this week. So obviously Reece Bennett's interview, Josh Andrews making a difference at Stevenage and the Bromley ticketing system. So seeing as you are new to the channel, Tom, and thank you again for joining us, we'll start with you and Reece Bennett's interview on the I Had Trials Once podcast.
It's no shock, really, is it? I think if you want a controversial Steve Evans story, I think a lot of players have probably got them. But once it's only once it's safe to reveal them, you got the impression that, I mean, we had a good few seasons under Evans. Let's not forget that. Obviously, a lot of it we didn't actually see, but we had some really good progressive seasons under Evans, and we got close in terms of League One. But you got the feeling that once we were starting to lose games in that relegation season, I think the writing was on the wall, wasn't it? And when he left, ultimately we brought Harris in, and we didn't really have much chance to do anything about it. But I'm not surprised. Evans is very much Marmite, isn't he, with a lot of football people and fans and whatnot. And obviously he's very successful in what he does. But you've got to also think on the other side of things, there's probably loads of stories like Bennett's about his character and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, interesting viewing, listening. I think in terms of what you get out of it, you get a little bit of Evans's character from each club he goes to, really, don't you? So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, Warren?
Yeah, I read a book, an autobiography from a Crawley Town player from when Steve Evans was there, and he was quite scathing of Evans, and this sort of thing was happening all the time at Crawley while he was there. So Reece Bennett coming out with it is no great shock. But I think I learned when I went to the Pulis Scally trial on the Tuesday when Pulis gave evidence. I think I learned a lot about what happens at a football club behind closed doors then. And to be honest, there's nothing that shocks me in football now when any of these stories come out, because it is money orientated sport now, without a shadow of a doubt. It shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah, Matt, your thoughts, mate?
Tom pretty much summed it up, but it's a classic Steve Evans story, isn't it? I haven't had a chance to watch the full interview yet. I am gonna, because I believe he has got some stories to tell. But yeah, I mean, pretty much sums Steve Evans up, doesn't it, Kris? It really does. It hits the nail on the head with the type of person he is. Saying he's going to sell players, and take his money and do a runner, leave us in shit. He obviously never cared about us. Good riddance to him. I've got no feelings for him other than, he was a manager that did well, but then I think, pretty much screwed us over. So it is what it is. But yeah, no, I am definitely going to watch a full interview, because I think it could be, quite revealing. But yeah, what a clip that was that we've all seen.
Yeah. I think the biggest irk for me, and I don't want to talk about it too much because it involves a certain person, but allowing a manager to have that kind of clause in their contract to begin with is, for me, is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's a scally move.
Yeah,
right. It is. We all know that it's a scally move. It's it's going to get a manager on board. So,
so we will move swiftly on from that one, because we could speak about that subject all night and probably get a few pelters thrown at us as well. So we will move on to the Stevenage game, and Josh Andrews making his first start of the season, wasn't it? I think he was definitely the difference in the first half. Added a new different dimension. So, Warren, what were your thoughts on the game, and what did you think of Andrew's performance in the first half?
Well, first half we were different and we played really well. And then second half, when Andrews went off, we reverted to type. The thing that Andrews brings is a bit of aggression, a little bit of quality up front. And during this 2-week period, I'd have been doing everything to make sure he gets fit for the Harrogate game, at least to play an hour.
Yeah, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can take from 45 minutes in the BS7 trophy, you know, it was encouraging. I think Warren's right. It could be a bit of a missing link for us, you know, in terms of the strikers that we've played with so far this season have been a bit hit and miss. Obviously, we've got a lot of different types of strikers, but Andrews gives us something a little bit different. And he's not just a big bloke that just wins headers. He's mobile as well. I think we fall into the trap with, say, Ollie Hawkins, where we just lump it up to him and hope that it sticks. But hopefully with Andrews, he's got a little bit more about him to do that. So I'm hopeful that he'll be able to play more in the second half of the season. But for me, he needs a strike partner. And if we ain't going to play with a 4-4-2 or, you know, a 2 up front in some formation, he needs to be able to be supported really well, because he's not going to be able to put it in for 90 minutes for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I personally would go with someone like maybe playing next to Wiley and just have to do him up top. But anyway, Matt, what was your thoughts?
Matt got then?
Disagree. Totally disagree, Chris. Jalen Clark, Josh Andrews, that will get us the tally of goals we need for this season ahead. But we're going to come to it a little bit later on in your little stop-start section. But look, for me, Andrews, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Andrews is the difference between us going up this year and not, basically. He is what we have been crying out for. He is the Verdane Oliver. He is the Tom Eaves. He's that central tall striker that we need up top, but we need somebody playing off of him. Who's the player in form to play off of him? Jalen Clark. Ring life forever.
Fair enough. So we'll move on to something that caused a little bit of a stir on social media when the announcement was made over the weekend. So the Bromley ticketing system. I know the tickets have gone on sale today, so I hope anyone that wanted to get them could get them. But yeah, so Tom, I'll start with you, mate. What were your thoughts on the way that they've gone about it?
I don't know what more that they could have done. I think when a football club makes a decision like this, you know, it's out of our hands. Bromley have given us, you know, as much as they probably can in terms of their allocation. And Joe was right. You know, there's such a small amount of season ticket holders will actually be able to go based on that. So I'm kind of, you know, appreciate that everyone's going to have different ideas because it impacts them differently. Obviously, if you've been to all of those away games so far, then fair play to you. You obviously deserve. You put the miles in. You've seen some shocking performances so far this season. So if it benefits you, then great. It doesn't benefit a lot of people, but I sort of feel that they've done the best that they can to kind of, you know, make it fair as possible. Like there's some people like me that are never going to get a ticket, but that's just by the by. You know, it's one game. I commend the club for trying to sort of put that out there and say, listen, this is all we can do, or the best possible thing that we can do right now to, you know, try and be fair. It's just a sign of the fact that we're a much bigger club and got much bigger away following. So I'm not too personally, you know, put out by it. I know that some fans are, and I appreciate their opinions because it impacts them more. But I don't know what more Joe and Co could have done to make this right, really.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate, definitely. Matt, what were your thoughts on it?
I mean, obviously Tom's pretty much hit the nail on the head, but when you actually look at it, a quick Google I did earlier, I think it was just over 5,500 Hayes Lane holds with, I think it's something like 1,600 and something odd seats. They're going to be anticipating, as it's a home tie, that they're going to get a large home crowd. So I get that they're not going to want to allocate as much. They get a percentage of what they have to allocate, and that's what they're going to they're going to give. But for Jules fans, yeah, it's going to be tough. But if you've put the miles in, you deserve the reward at the end of the day. It's I guarantee, again, every single Jules fan, if they could get a ticket, would get a ticket. But it's got to be done fairly. This is the fairest way. Enough said.
Yeah. Warren?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the ticketing bit. I'm not a season ticket holder, and although I've been the majority of away games this season, I think I've missed one or two. I think I missed Bradford and I missed Morecambe, but I've been to the rest. But I've paid for tickets on the day. How can they legislate for those people that do pay on the day, like myself, where I don't get a ticket in advance because of work? I leave it till lastminute.com anyway. How can you really tell which people, which supporters have done the miles and whatever? Ultimately, the way they've done it is probably the fairest that they can do it, because whatever way you look at any of the ticketing way they was to do it is always going to be unfair on some people and fairer on others. And I think that season tickets have been to every game, guaranteed a ticket. Yeah, fine by me. I've got no problem with that. But
yeah,
there are people that have been to every game that don't necessarily get the tickets through the football club.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Right, boys. So we'll move on to our review of the season. We will start in August, and we will just basically do an overview each. So Gillingham's first game of the season was a 4-1 win against Carlisle, then 1-0 away at Morecambe. Fleetwood was 0-0, then Gillingham 1-0 at home to Chesterfield, which was an absolute warrior performance. So I'll start with you, Tom. What was your overall thought of the opening 4 games of the season?
Yeah, can't we just freeze it there for a little while and remember how things work? No, honestly, if you take, Carlisle itself was brilliant because obviously, scoring 4 goals in any game has been avoiding us for years now, so that was a nice treat. But if you look at the other 3 games underneath that, I think they're very much Gill's performances that we expect from this team. Grinding out results against difficult places to go. Obviously, Chesterfield itself was a massive game because we were, as you said, batting against a really good side for a half hour with 10 men. The character that we showed in that game, and actually, to be fair, winning away at Morecambe, which is a tough place to go, even despite where they are in the league, and even drawing at Fleetwood, they're all tough games to play. So to start off the season like that, with those 4 results was amazing. And I think Gills fans, most lower league fans, like to get a bit carried away sometimes. Piss the league and all of that sort of stuff. So actually seeing this, it was kind of nice to sort of start off in that positive mindset. Let's just avoid October at all. Let's just skip through that one.
I mean, we're trying to skip it all together. So, Warren, mate, what's your basic overview, mate?
I thought we ground out results through August. I didn't think we was anything really spectacular, but we did grind out results and we did look tight at the back. We did look like we was ready to play the ball as best we could. We could have won at Fleetwood if Jaden had put that chance in. Just getting a dig in there, Matt. But
I'll get you on that one.
Overall, right, it was a solid start of the season, and the team at this point, I thought, looked quite strong.
Yeah, Matthew?
Do you know what? If you put it in a percentage-wise, in terms of what Mark Bonner had available, you could probably say that for the Carlisle game, he had, 88% of his players available. There was a few, still niggling around of his potential first 11. But then it rapidly shot down, and as Tom alluded to, if we could just kind of keep this August form, this would have been great. But we started losing players at an incredible rate, and the team performances dipped after August. Warren, that miss, Jayden Clark, best thing that ever happened to him.
One of the best things that happened to Gillingham Football Club.
It wasn't for him personally, because you look how he has bounced back. Look, to be fair, he's scored some important goals, and we're going to come into them a little bit later on, I'm sure. But look, Jayden Clark overall as a player, that miss was the best thing to happen to him, because he realised this game isn't a training session. It is all important. He needs to make these chances happen. Hell, look, we're going to be talking about a header he scored, and Mark Bonner owing him £100 later on, because
it's about a header. It's a loose term. Shoulder.
Yeah, but well, at least he got in there. But this is the point. That miss for him, it was important. But the problem is the team as a whole, unfortunately, did start to dip after this. And look, I still think we were lucky to scrape a 1-0 win against Chesterfield. Yes, obviously we both had players sent off and what have you, but it was a lucky 1-0 win at home. We were literally hanging on to this, because at this point we'd still not been beaten at home. We were still holding on to that precious, unbeaten at home for the whole of 2024. No other team had done it. We were the last one standing, or whatever it was, but it was ours, and we were still clinging on to it. But literally against Chesterfield, we were still clinging on.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for me personally, I think the 4-1 against Carlisle was quite flattering. It was quite an even game, to be honest. It was a little bit of it was a great result. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from them, but it was just a bit of a glossy one. It was hard fought against Morecambe, and again hard fought against Chesterfield. So yeah, we'll move on to September then, boys. And I apologise, and I will point it out before anyone else does. There is Chesterfield's badge next to Barrow's name. I did notice it before we came on, but it was too late for me to do anything. So there you go. So we lost 1-0. First game of September, so Donny away from home, 3-0, which I think personally was our best performance of the season so far. 1-0 away at Notts County and 2-0 at home to Barrow. So yeah, we'll start with you this time, Matt, and your overview on September.
Well, yeah, look, ultimately, I think against Doncaster, they kind of figured us out pretty quickly. They were all over us. Tranmere, we again, look, an unbeaten record. Tranmere not in the best of form at the time. Again, I think 3-0 flattered us slightly, but we did show intent going forward, and that was what we had been craving. Notts County again. Again, I think we all know deep down inside, we were probably lucky to get the 3 points, but football being is what it is. Sometimes you win some when you should have drawn, and sometimes you win some when you should have lost some. But we did, and then the Barrow game, and I think this was the big turning point, because I think as fans we all saw a half decent performance by the boys. They were giving some effort and really trying, and then Bonner decides to come out in his after press interview and really does have a go at them. And we're sitting there thinking, what more can they do? I mean, they've done a result. They've done exactly what you've asked them to do, go out and win the game. But unfortunately, yeah, he's come out. And I don't think the players revolted as such, but I think they heard what he said and maybe they took it to heart a bit.
Yeah, Tom, I mean, it is definitely an interesting one. I think a few people have said this to me as well. They feel that he was a little bit harsh after the Barrow game. But yeah, what are your thoughts on it as a whole?
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I know that managers don't like to sort of come out. I know that and sometimes after the match, there's a lot of heat at the moment sort of stuff that comes out, the emotion that Mark Bonner used to showing. But it is strange, obviously, if you look at that month in general, and yeah, against Doncaster, they're a bit lackluster, but there's awful lot of J Clark on that screen, isn't there, for Matt's kind of pleasure. But the way that we beat Tranmere, the way that we beat Notts County, I think if you look at again what Warren said about writing out results, Tranmere we didn't expect to go on and get those counter-attacking goals that we did. three clean sheets out of 4. So, a bit of odd timing to maybe come out with a bit of a sort of, maybe that's just sort of high standards that Bonner kind of, wants his players to adhere to. And if they don't, he feels that they're good enough to come out and say it.
Yeah, Warren?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a different opinion on this. I thought the curse of Paul Scally descended at the Doncaster game, where the announcement was made that the football club was seeking to replace him on the board. We went to Doncaster and we was absolute rubbish. Let's be honest. I don't think we was in the game at all. And that was a writing on the wall. We played Tranmere at home. Tranmere were a very good side at all. I was impressed at Notts County. That's my favourite performance of the season because it was a hard battling performance. Every player worked their socks off and they put in a real performance on that day. The Barrow game, 2-0, was another good performance on the back of the Notts County. With the Bonner situation in his comments, I don't get it. I think it's easier to have a dig at players when they've won than digging players out on media when they've lost. Personally, but maybe as we were speaking, what we were speaking about before the show, maybe all this wokeness where players are scared of a little bit of criticism or a little bit of a G up now because it hurt their feelings. I don't buy it. It's rubbish.
Yeah.
But can I just say, and we're gonna move. I'm sure Kris is gonna move on in a minute, but Bonner literally said that, and then Kris, if you don't mind, if I can sort of just jump in for a second, go on to the next screen.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, one thing, Kris, this is the end of the show. We're not doing any more.
but that's the thing. But Bonner said that, and then this is the next one of results you get, and it's kind of like, is there a coalition there?
Or is it the mentality of our players?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, Kris. If look, I'm just saying, Kris, like it's kind of frustrating. Is it not?
Oh, it is a little bit. I mean, you look 1-0 at home to Grimsby, 2-0 away to Crewe, 2-1 at home at Accrington. That one really ground my gears. I had to get up and leave the minute their second goal went in. Bradford 2-1. It's just, and you know what? It kind of summed up our month, didn't it? When you get to Swindon, and that happens in the 93rd minute. It kind of just summed up the whole month, Tom, don't you think?
It's like, if you look at the 3 games that we didn't score in, we weren't scoring in those games. You could have played for hours and we weren't scoring. It felt very much like we could. I mean, against Newport, we actually played pretty well, especially second half. We peppered their goal for 45 minutes, but it just weren't going to go in. And we've had many occasions like that down the years where wouldn't happen. But again, agree with you, Accrington Stanley. I don't want to get too. I'm quite a season, and we fall short by a number of points or a number of goals. This is going to be when we look at it and go, actually, despite it being 3 months into the season, this is where we lost out, because if you got genuine title credentials, title ambitions, you beat Accrington Stanley at home. You don't surrender the way we did to Grimsby and just no second, ball for half hour up to Hawkins and hoping something stuck. So even if you look back at mentality, you talk about, you analyse the goal that Harry Smith scored against Swindon. From that attack, it was just how do you not protect your goal at all costs? Like we were doing at home to Tranmere in Chesterfield, we were diving in front of everything. And actually, a month on from that, we're then giving away night and day, and you don't know whether comments being made in the press have impacted that. But for a whole month, I don't buy it. I don't think I just think you start off on a negative run of form. As Matt said before, you lose players, you lose different players week in, week out. You've got, Little's out for a few weeks, then Coleman's out for a few weeks, then you've got McKenzie out. They're all players that on their day will be important for us, and they weren't available, and you just have to patch yourself up and go again. But yeah, it was a bad month. It was a month where we just couldn't win for love nor money.
Yeah. Warren, what were your thoughts on the month, mate?
I think this was when we reverted back to type for the last 2 seasons. I didn't think we showed much bottle with the players. I think we got bullied in games. We certainly showing up for a lack of pace in most of these games. Probably Swindon being the only one where the lack of pace didn't really work against us. But in all the other games, I think the lack of pace amongst our squad was quite relevant. Crew, we was awful. We never looked like scoring. The home games, I want to go on it later, but we just didn't win any second ball. We didn't pass with any pace. We didn't move. We didn't tackle. We didn't win second balls. We just did nothing. And yes, injuries played a major part in this, and I agree with Tom and Matt. Right, the injuries did play a part, but the players that come in during this time are all paid professional footballers to play at League 2 level. Right? And if they ain't good enough, and if October proves that those players ain't good enough, I expect to see them gone in January.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair. Anything else to add to that, gents, before we move on to November? I think the least amount of time spent on October would probably be the better, because it's just extremely depressing to look at. Probably shouldn't have done it.
Can I just say one thing about the month of October? Jaden Clark. He was the only bright spark in that team.
He scored once. He scored once, Matt.
No. Wing life forever. Wing life forever.
He didn't even score a goal that won the game.
Yeah.
He got 1 in 6.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you can't praise any of the players for that one.
Wing life forever.
Anyway, we will move on to November, and obviously it looks a little bit more promising. Last weekend for us against Port Vale, I thought it again wasn't very pretty, but it was effective with Jaden Clark's header. And I've left his name out purposely because I knew Matt would be playing on this one. So our season so far, boys, out of 10, Tom's gone for a 6 out of 10. I've gone for a 5 out of 10. Warren has gone for 4 out of 10. And Matt's the ever optimist has gone for a 7 out of 10. So, Matt, I'll start with you, mate. Why did you go for a 7?
Well, as I always say, if we're ever going to play Man United, we're going to beat them 7-0.
You still on that?
Look, I don't know. To be fair, I have my reasons. People will think I'm absolutely nuts, but everyone knows me. I love my Gillingham team. And even when we're down in the dumps, I'm always going to back them. If I gave them anything worse than a 7, I'd hate myself.
Yeah, I don't think it's a case of no one backing him. I think there's just a little bit of realism that needs to come into play with it, to be fair.
For me, so 7 is a bad score, but it's the lowest I can give Gillingham because it's Gillingham.
Matt's gone for 7. We'll go for you next, Warren, with the lowest at 4.
Yeah, this squad of players on paper should be in the top 3 at this moment in time. Right? There's no doubt about it. They've underperformed. I think injuries where we've got 3 players in Andrews, Dak, and Nevitt who have all got an allergy to grass. Hasn't helped. I think the month of October proved that some of these ain't got the fight in them. There's no real strength within the side. To get out of this division, you've got to have the best 18 players like Wrexham and Stockport had last season. Or you've got to kick your way out of the league. And that's what Port Vale will do. Port Vale will kick their way out of the league. There'll be a team of bullies. They're all 6 foot. They all run, right? They all defend. They defend quite compactly. They're not going to lose too many games. They're going to go up pure and simply because they're strong. They're bully teams and they'll win games through bullying teams.
Yeah, that's fair, mate.
Yeah, we've got either. And we should have. We should have the squad to at least finish third. But when we gave our predictions at the start of the season, I was probably the only one that put us down to miss out on promotion or playoffs this year. And I think that's down to the last 2 seasons. We've had a soft underbelly, and I think we're now seeing it again.
Yeah. Tom, and your thoughts on your reasons why for a 6?
First, also, I do agree with that. What Warren said there. I think there still needs to be a certain amount of nastiness in leagues changing as a whole in terms of this attractive football that's being played. You still need to get out of this league by basically replicating what our title-winning team did 10 years ago or so, where we had flair players, but we also had some nasty people in there too that could kick lumps to get a result if need be. I went for 6 because ultimately it's been it's been 15 games in it of 2 halves. If you look at our record, it's like, 7 wins and 7 defeats because of the manner of the Swindon draw. It's very, much split down the middle, if you like. Good performances, gritty performances against the likes of Chesterfield and Notts County, but then giving teams like Newport and Accrington the freedom of Priestfield to go and beat us. So that's why I've gone for sort of quite passive. I'm normally quite positive, so I'll keep it as a 6. But I'm not quite Matt's level of it's only one mark up, but no one's going to be as positive as he is. I think so.
I couldn't. If I'd said anything less than 7, my heart would have broken in 2. I would have had to crumble on the floor. The Gill's blood would have veined out of me. No, 7 was the lowest score, but 7's not good enough. Do you know what I mean? It's not. Warren is right. With the quality of the players that we have got, we should be doing better. And unfortunately, we're currently sat in 9th in the league. Look, it's not ideal, but we're 1/3 of the way through the season.
Yeah, but to sort of play the positive, outlook is, as you say, we're 2 points off the top 7, and we've still got 31 games left to play. So let's treat it that way for now. But on the next one we'll see how we are.
Yeah. No worries, boys. So I gave him a 5 purely because at any given time we've had half of our first 11 out. So I don't really think that we can give him much more than that. So we move on to the next one. So I will start with you, Warren. So I want you to give me 1 stop, 1 start, 1 continue. 1 thing you want them to stop doing, 1 thing you want them to start doing, and 1 thing you want them to continue doing.
I want them to stop passing the ball 180 times before we give it back to the goalkeeper to then start again. It's boring. Yeah. It doesn't achieve anything. It looks great on stats, but we need to stop doing it. We need to get the ball moving forward at pace. We need to be quicker in everything that we do, and we need to utilise our players to the best of their ability, and that's by going forward. Stop all this passing it back and sideways. It's crap. It's making the game as boring as anything I've ever seen at Priestfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tom?
Sorry. I was just saying, question count on that. Like, I get that to an extent, but is the alternative hoof it up front?
Yes.
But we don't want Nave, do we? We don't want to play a long game either.
After 109 passes anyway, Tom.
Fair point.
What's the difference? We might as well get forward quicker. Right?
Look. What, Warren? Look, I'm going to say we would all love to be having, the Matty Jarvis, the Andy Heston Tylers, those kind of warriors that will run and dart in midfield. We don't have that at the moment with the players that we have out injured, and I get why there is a lot of this sideway passing. But you are honestly, Tom, I've got to say, Warren is right. I think the alternative is the hoofball. We should be utilising Hawkins, if that is, what we're going to ultimately be doing with Andrews going down the line. Let's play that style of football now.
Hawkins is covered by two men every single time, and he's being pulled about left, right, and centre. I get the idea, but it's just transparent. It doesn't work. But I do also agree with you, is that you do that anyway. So what's going to be, the harm in doing it early? But I just think Grimsby is the prime example. We put Hawkins on with an hour gone or whatever it was, and he was just being out grappled at every single time, and it was just so easy to predict.
Yeah, so Warren, need to get you to your start now, mate, because we stopped you at your stop.
So we need to start being a bit more mentally tougher. We need to be a lot stronger, and we need to stop trying. And we need to stop teams trying to bully us. We need to start winning second ball, and we need to start tackling as though we mean it.
Yeah.
Fed up.
I thought it was just one, not 100.
Mate, I did my own work.
And you continue, please, Warren.
Right, and we continue. This might be a bit controversial, unlike me. I think we should continue looking into the injury situation as to why we pick up so many injuries. Is it as training injury? Is it the way medical staff are treating our players? Is it the way we train? Do we address the issue? Do we need to change it? Injuries are hurting us, and it's hurting us bad, and it needs sorted out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we will move on to Matthew, and we'll ask you for your stop, continue.
Well, my stop scoring a goal and then thinking you've won the game.
Yeah.
Because that's not just this season. This has been for continuous seasons. We need to score a goal and then just sit back and go, well, that's it, game done. Swindon, the prime example. They were down a man. You've just scored a goal. You go at them. You don't take off a forward to bring on a defender. You put on another forward. They're down a man. You have a go. You show them who's boss. Oh, I think we've lost Kris.
He was that annoyed by your answer. He's just left.
No,
sorry. I'm back.
He's back again. That's fine. But we swapped it. Somehow I'm now host. I think that's telling us I'm shit as a guest. Sorry. But look, but yeah, honestly, it's just been one of my biggest frustrations when the killer's there, you go for the jugular, and we don't do it, and it's so frustrating. I'll jump onto my start for you, Kris, just to move on and make this nice and quick. Start. Look, I mentioned it at the top of the show. I'm going to say it again. We need to start Josh Andrews and Jayden Clark, and even if it's a 4-4-2 or version of the 4-4-2, but we need to start them two up together. Jayden Clark is confidence. His confidence is high. He knows where the back of the net. He's scoring goals. Josh Andrews scored a great goal in the week against Stevenage. You know that there's talent there. I know we need to nurse him back, and that is what they are doing. They're trying to do it right. And I do think there is such a good player in there. He needs a player he can work with. We saw it at the end of Port Vale. There you go. Look, and continue. Look, we need to continue the momentum that we got from the one win we've had. We've had a good week off. Hopefully, players are going to be rested. The Armani little injury isn't too bad. We can continue nursing these players back, because if we want to get out this division, we need to get these key players back. And when I say key players, I will include Bradley Dack, who is obviously, we've seen 15 minutes of him or whatever it was in that cup game, which still really frustrates me that's when he made his comeback. But look, let's get these players back, because once they're back and fit, I do generally think we have got a team that will get out of this division, whether it's, and we've lost Kris again, whether it's via playoffs or not. There you go. I think that was a sign, Kris, wasn't it? Go on.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm literally trying to get the rest of the things up, but they're not loading, and it keeps chucking me out. So we carry on with Tom.
Yeah, all right. My stop again is tactical, and I've been on about this for a little while. Stop playing with inverted wingers that don't go round the outside. And I know that they're capable of doing it. No, Nolan's goal against Carlisle was an example of that. But teams become so easy to defend against when you've got a right footer on the left and vice versa, and they are so predictable. They come inside into what is a crowded penalty area or a crowded box or whatever you might say. I know Aaron Rowe's absence is telling in this, but stick a right footer on the right, left footer on the left, and have them go at defenders. Fullbacks in this league aren't very good on the whole, and we should be doing more to kind of combat that. But again, it might be a thing of when you've got players available. My start was, again, tactical with this. I like a 3-5-2 formation. I think I look back at when we were most solid in defence, when we played 3-5-2 back in the Harris era. I like Hutton and I like Clark as wing backs. I think if we haven't got the wingers that play there naturally, don't play them there. I think that Jaden Clark could do a job up front, as Matt's been harping on about for the last half hour, potentially. But if you play a back three of Ogie, Masterson and Aymer, you got cover there in certain situations. I like Hutton going forward. I think he could do a job for us. The midfield is then solid, and you've got a front partnership of Andrews potentially and one other person. I think that will set up quite well. Obviously, depends on personnel, but I like that idea. And continue. I'm going to basically copy what Matt said. We have an opportunity now to go forward and carry a decent win against Port Vale, who we were better than, let's face it, and take that into our next game. But Harrogate won't be easy. They will come and set up for a draw like a lot of teams will do in the Priestfield this season. But you have to you have to not let them dictate that. You have to basically push them back so that they can't come here and play their own game.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I don't think I've got anything different to any of that. Maybe a couple of variations, but pretty much on point there, lads. So we move on to our player of the season so far. So Tom's gone for Marnie Little. I've gone for Marnie Little. Matt's gone for Marnie Little. And Warren has gone for Romeo Hutton. So we'll start with you, Warren.
Yeah, I think Amani's just been a bit too injured for me. Romeo's just missed the one game. He hasn't done an awful lot wrong apart from possibly Swindon away where he lost his man, or he let his man get in front of him. I think he's been pretty solid. I think the rest of them have had peaks and troughs with their form. I'd just like to go back to Matt's point about Jaden playing up front. Who was the first person to tell you that?
No, mate, you were 100%. No, you said it on the show 100%. I'm not denying you said it on the show first 100%. I did think of it last year, but you said it, and you are right. I do think he's got the ability. So, well,
is there any way of me to record that little segment and just keep it so we've got it for future reference? You saying that Warren's right?
Yeah. What? Hang on, wait. So, guys, let's take the time down. What is it? 45 minutes on the nose. Here you go. Ready for this? Are you ready? Warren, you're right.
I'm always right. Guys, just going back to this. My player of the season so far is Romeo Hutton. I do expect Marnie Little to end up with the player of the season come May. Hopefully we can keep him fit and able to play for the rest of the season with no more injuries. It does hurt us when he doesn't play. But I just think that Romeo just shaded it due to the fact that he played 9 every game apart from 1.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Tom?
Yeah, as I say, like, I mean, I've just spoken about Hutton there, and I think he's a really good player for us. And again, if you play him in his natural position going forward, maybe better than defensively, that could benefit us. But for me, Little, I didn't expect him to have the impact that he did. Obviously, he missed all of pre-season, but came back as if he played all of it. He was fit and ready to go. So, as Warren said, you do miss him when he isn't there. I think him and Mackenzie in that first sort of few games were probably our most reliable midfield pairing. I think they both complement each other pretty well, and we've missed them both in the time that they've been missing at different times. But for me, if you look back at players from years ago that we would love to have playing for us now with a bit of energy, a bit of passion in there. Little's got all of that. You hear him from where we are. I stand right at the back of the regiment, and I can hear him shouting at other players, and you of the actual kind of that leadership qualities that Bonner clearly sees in him, because he made him vice captain, didn't he? So you need him playing 40 plus games a season to really get the benefit out of him, and hopefully this injury against Port Vale isn't a decisive one, or one that keeps him out for a while, because you do miss him when he's not there.
Yeah, I think we've said it a few times on the show. He's got that heart of a lion type character and reminds us of Hess to an extent. And I think, Matt, you've said that quite a few times. So you've obviously gone with Amani Little as well, mate. So your reasonings behind that?
To be honest, Warren, take the timestamp down. You were right again, because Romeo Hutton was for me a very close second. I thought he had been excellent, but for me, when Armani Little was on the pitch, he affected the game so much. We were a different team. Romeo Hutton, you got the same thing that you expected every time from him on the pitch. And I think when Josh Andrews is back, and with his right foot and being able to sort of ping a ball up to Andrews, I think that's going to be excellent for him going forward, and we're going to see even more from Hutton. But for me, every time Armani Little was on the pitch, he changed the game. He affected the players around him. He was that warrior that we needed in the heart of the midfield, driving the team forward. And look, again, Tom's right. We got to hope that this injury is nothing more than a few weeks out, because we need him in the heart of our midfield. If Max was to unfortunately get injured, he is our captain. He is the guy who's really driving this team forward. So he's been affecting us. He's been changing us. He's what we need. We need him fit. And please, let's hope he's not out for too long.
Yeah, I'll touch on that, actually. You say about Max being out injured. I'll ask all three of you, actually. If you had both of them fit, who would be your captain?
It's got to be Max. It's got to. He's unless Bonner comes out and says anything different, Max is his captain.
Yeah, Tom? Tom, you there?
Sorry, yeah, a slight lag there. Yeah, I'm just looking at it and staring right through you. No, I think it shouldn't. I know it's not based on appearances and service, but Max, he may not possess the qualities of what a lot of people expect from a captain in terms of the vocal, but there must be something in him just to continue picking him as captain. He's not just there as a legacy. He obviously has something about him. I think even at Bristol Rovers, when he went there, he was captain. He was captain for 2 out of 3 bosses. It was only Barton that removed his armband from him, and we all know what he's like. So he's obviously got something about him that makes him captain. But Little, for me, I'd have no issue at all if that was the case. If there was a change of heart, then I wouldn't see a problem with that. Obviously, as long as it wasn't anything against Max Lamer, but. For me, yeah, he would stay as captain, but Little was a very good vice.
Yeah, Warren?
We need to sign a captain. In my opinion, we need to sign a tough tackling, hard, nasty, aggressive captain. Doesn't have to get on with the rest of his players, but we need someone who's going to drive this team a lot harder than what they're being driven now out on the pitch. And that includes whether it was Max as captain or Armani. We need somebody who's someone like a Mark Saunders, a Dave Martin, a Joe Jakes, if you want to go back that far. Somebody who's going to be aggressive and someone that this team's going to be scared of not putting a foot wrong with on the football pitch.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So, boys, we will move on to our surprise packages, and
here we go.
Let's have a guess of who Matt's picked. Oh look, Tom and Matt Wheeler. So we'll go with Warren. Why did you pick Joe Bodie?
I honestly didn't think Joe Bodie had a hope in hell of getting anywhere near this Gillingham side all season, this season. In fact, it wouldn't have surprised me if, based on the previous 2 seasons, it wouldn't have surprised me if at the end of this season he'd have been told to pack his bags and asked to leave the club on a free transfer. But he's proved me wrong. And he's proved me wrong by not playing up front, but by playing in a wide area where he's driven defenders backwards. We haven't had much of it. He gets the ball when he wants to go forward. We haven't got many players like that. I don't think he's a starter. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a starter, but I think at the moment he's a very good option from the bench to come on should we need to take the game by the scruff of the neck and move forward.
Yeah. No, I think he's been absolutely brilliant when he's come on. He just runs at players, which we don't have many players that seem to do that at the moment. Hasn't got that fear factor about him. He just gets on with it. He just runs at people. He takes people on. He tackles people if needs be. He's just brilliant. So Matthew. I don't know why I'm going to ask the question why, but I'm going to ask the question why Jayden.
No, look. To be fair, I mean, look. He came out in was it after the Port Vale game? He said, he had been working in the summer. If you look at him last year compared to this year, there is a massive difference in the player that we saw. I saw glimpses of what he could be last year, but the problem is those glimpses were so inconsistent. The bad outweighed the good. This year, the good is outweighing the bad. We are starting to see really what this gem is worth. Now, Kris, you were there. You can testify to this. I said in front of Brad Gallinson, kind of as a joke, if you ever sell this player, he's worth £1 million because he could be that player. And listen, hear me out. He could be that player. He just needs to work and keep working. And he did it in the summer. He said he didn't go away and he worked on being a better footballer in the summer and he needs to work on his game. He's still young enough to become £1 million player in the future. I'm not saying this year, next year, whatever, but he could be that player. And we are starting to see it. And I genuinely believe him and Andrews up top would work so well together. But whether he wants to be a super sub, so at bottom wants to start him play him as a super sub, have him in his starting 11, I think we've got a really good player in Jayden Clark, and I think we're lucky to have him.
Yeah, Tom? He's there?
Yeah. Sorry, I keep on lagging you. I've gone for him on the basis. It must be that, yeah, or maybe I'm muting you and just not getting back in time. No, I've gone for Jayden solely because I thought this was the last season that he had to prove that he could be part of this squad. Yes, he was signing from non-league. Yes, he's a rough diamond, but ultimately, I was struggling to find out where his place was, and I think most people would agree that he wasn't reaching what maybe his potential was. Yes, he was in a couple of bad sides, but still, No, so compared to this season where he's, been played a lot from the start, he's kind of found some form, which is great to see in front of goal. He's been involved in a lot of goals as well, but I still agree that he's got a lot to prove himself in terms of where he plays. Is he ever going to be first name on the team sheet? Don't know. Is he going to play as a winger, a striker, even a wing back? He's proven that he could do the defensive side of that too when it really matters. I agree with Bode in the sense of I didn't see him coming forward at all this year, but he has, so fair play to him. But I think Clark's inclusion was mainly based on the fact that last season I just thought that he would peter out and maybe go out on loan or be one of those for the chop if it come down to sort of trimming the squad size. But fair play to him. He's done enough to be involved in that conversation now every single week when he's been fit enough. So yeah, he's my surprise package for that purpose. And obviously top goal scorer, you wouldn't have thought that this time last season. So fair play to him for what he's done. I still think there's work to be done on him, but for the progress he's made since August to now, can't fault it.
Yeah. Can I just really say, Kris, the I would have gone Bode. The only reason I didn't go is because the one thing he is missing from his game right now is that elusive goal. Because I reckon the second he'll score that goal, he'll have the biggest smile on his face, and I think that will kickstart him on. But for me, it's got to be Jayden Clark. But yeah, Bode, he needs that goal, and I'm so rooting for him to get it.
Yeah, I think he kind of had a good opportunity against Stevenage, didn't he? I think if he'd have taken it on his left foot across the keeper, it probably would have been better. But he came in onto his right and tried to curl it around the post. But, at the end of the day, I think everyone keeps forgetting as well, there's been so much criticism I've seen of him. He's only 19 years old, so he's still young. So anyway, boys, we move on to your goals of the season. So Tom's gone for Jack Nolan against Carlisle, and so has Matt. Well, you two, last two times, checkmate here.
I was copying his answers. I was copying. Oh no! Oops! I shouldn't have said that.
I was just to do some homework, like copying each other. For me, it was Amani Little against Accrington. For Warren, it was Elliot Nevitt against Notts County. So, Warren, we'll start with you, mate. Why that goal?
I just thought it was a fantastic ball from Hutton. Something that we haven't seen all season. We've actually played the ball forward into space. The striker's been able to make a run, got past the back line and executed his final shot. I just thought it was the best goal that we scored as a team all season.
Yeah, Tom?
Yeah, I went for Jack. I mean, we don't score many, as the kids would say, bangers, do we, these days? We don't take a lot of shots from outside the box. We don't go on these mazy runs. So when we do see it, it's a bit of a surprise. And I remember seeing it at the time, thinking about the delayed reaction, because I didn't think we thought it gone in. But no, it was a good goal. And ultimately, that's the Nolan that we thought that we were getting when we signed him, the mazy, tricky winger. Individually, yeah, it was a really sort of good goal. Sort of signs of the Bradley Dack goal against Sheffield United all those years ago, where he's sort of taken on half the team and scored. But yeah, in individual brilliance, I'd say, rather than compared to Warren's sort of team effort, which again was a really, really good finish. But I'd say that one just for its individual quality.
Yeah, and Matt, sorry, I forgot your name then, mate.
I'm easily forgettable. Don't worry, mate.
Oh no, you're not.
Look, I've got to say, it's almost a goal I kind of wish never happened, because we all saw it and we thought, wow, what a player we've got in Jack Nolan. He's going to go on a smash this season. And we've not really seen much of it after that. But look, it was a great run. It was a great idea to obviously to play him out there, get him to cut in, smash the ball into the back of the net with so much pace and power that you would have hated to have been sat behind it because you probably would have flinched because you thought it was coming straight at you through the net. But it was a great goal by him, no doubt. But we've rarely seen the rest of it. That from the rest of the season, unfortunately. And I'm hoping we're going to see more of him, because if he can do that against Carlisle, he can do that against Morecambe on a Tuesday night or Grimsby on a Tuesday night. He just needs to be that player and believe in himself. And it's going to take him time to bed in, but he showed us what he could do on the first game of the season. He's got another 31 opportunities to show us he can do that again.
Yeah. I think for me, Imani Little's goal against Accrington, it was one of them. Like I was sitting in the Rainham that day, and I've literally walked out, and as soon as I walked out, and it was hit with such ferocity that you just heard that net, like that lovely noise when the ball hits the back of the net at 90 miles an hour. And yeah, it was just it was a brilliant goal. It's a shame that it ended up in defeat, but for me, it was just a brilliant goal. So we will look ahead quickly to Harrogate this coming Saturday. Thank God. It seems quite horrible, doesn't it, Tom, when you kind of go a week without it? You just kind of get a bit of cabin fever, I think. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on it, Tom? And I'll start with you, mate.
I'm going to miss it. It's my daughter's birthday, so I'm almost previewing it, and I'm not going to be there, but it's her fault. No, the thing is...
Bring her along!
She would hate me. If she's 14, she'll hate me forever. No, I think in terms of that, I think, as we said earlier about momentum, like it's really important. You would sort of look against Harrogate and in November and think it's not that important, but realistically, you've got to follow up Port Vale with another decent result performance. And Harrogate are an unfancied side, but we don't play well against unfancied sides. We buckled against Grimsby and Accrington and all those sort of teams. So this is important for us to get back on the road now and actually, show what we're capable of. And ultimately their form is quite similar to ours. So they're not exactly flying and they're also not, relegation fodder either. So it might depend who's available, but I reckon if we play to our strengths, what we know we can play by, then we should be able to beat them. But it's a lottery sometimes these days as to what Shields are going to turn up.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case, isn't it, Warren?
Yeah, I'm just a bit worried that Harrogate are a bit like Accrington. They haven't got any outstanding players playing for them, but they've got a couple of quick lads. And when we've been broke at a pace, we've struggled and we've conceded. I can see Harrogate possibly being the same as Accrington, or they could be a Tranmere and they come here, don't show anything, and we win 3-0. As Tom alluded to, we don't know what Jills are going to turn up, and you just can't predict any game.
Yeah.
But you can't predict.
No, we just need a performance. I think Port Vale was a good game, but we didn't really play great. It was effective, but not a good performance. I think if we need to go out Saturday and actually give the fans something to cheer about. I know I've heard a lot about the fans need to get behind us. Well, the fans can only get behind you if you give them something to get behind. So, yeah, Matt, your thoughts on anything for this, mate?
Look, I'm just hoping and praying that the week off is this blessing in disguise that we've had. Giving Andrews the run out on against Stevenage hasn't caused any flare-up of any injury or anything like that. And he could be in contention to potentially start the game or at least play 45 minutes or whatever. But we proved last week that with a bare thread squad, we could potentially go ahead and beat the champions and get a 1-0 win. Some may say it was an ugly 1-0 win, but it's still a 1-0 win. We need to continue that against Harrogate because, no offence to them, they don't really have ambitions of getting up to the League One to Championship and beyond. But Brad Gallinson, he's 100% up behind this club and he wants to get us up there. we need to get behind him. We need to get behind the boys. We need to give everything to the team. But this is an important game because we need to prove to League Two that we are here and serious contenders to get out the league. Whether we've got a squad that's at 70% or 90% or 100%, we need a response at home to a team that really aren't in contention this year.
No, well, let's just hope that it's not a repeat of the last time we played them. So we will move on quickly, gents. We are coming towards the end, so I just want to have a quick little bit of a shout out for our partners, Gillingham Football Club Supporters Club. If you haven't joined up yet and you'd like to, the prices are on the screen and the website's there for you as well to sign up. So really good guys over there. So yeah, let's give them a shout. So I think we'll pretty much wrap it up there, boys, then. I'd like to thank Tom again for coming on. Obviously, Warren, the brand, Taylor. I've actually just realised that we're right at the end of the show. That tells you how terrible my eyes are. And Matt, of course. So if you want to follow us on Facebook, it's The View from the Medway X. If you're watching it on X, you probably already do follow us at TVFTM. And subscribe to us at the YouTube channel, The View from the Medway. And Wing Life up there is carrying on. I've been Kris. He's been Matt. He's been Warren. He's been Tom. Good night and up the Jills.